This week, I teach you how to make your own strippers. It's as good as you think. Oh, no, you'd think of women, wouldn't you? It's not as good as this. Pretty good, though.
This episode of Scam School brought to you by GoDaddy.
Welcome to the show that thinks that every zoo is a petting zoo. You've got the gonads to try it. Scam School, the only show dedicated to social engineering at the bar and on the street. I'm your host, Brian Brushwood, and this week we're going to learn one of the most fundamental, one of the most versatile, one of the most simple, brilliant decks of cards you can ever imagine. We're about to learn a little thing about strippers. Magic. All right, we are joined by Carolina, Emiko, and Christina. Thank you very much, ladies. I wanted to teach you one of the first and still one of my all-time favorite tricks that I've ever learned. I'm going to totally bring you in on the inside. And to start you off, everybody take one card. Don't let me see which one. If you want, I can shuffle it up ahead of time. You guys can remember your card, both the suit and the number, right?
Yes.
You're not going to let me see, right? Because otherwise this is a terrible, terrible trick. All right, go put that back in. Put that back in. Put that back in. Now the first thing everybody thinks is that I'm going to put my pinky in there or something and keep a little gap to keep it in there. You can see it's totally flat in there. And then you think, you know, we'll mix them up a bit so you don't know where they are. And in fact, do the double blind gold standard. I'm saying that it's a pharmaceutical joke right there for you ladies. We're going to mix these up as much as I can. And here's the important question. Do you guys remember your card? The suit and the value? Yes. Christine?
Yes.
What was your card?
5 of spades.
5 of spades. And Carolina, yours was?
6 of spades.
6 of spades, all right. And yours was?
7 of hearts.
Whoa, so we had a 5, 6, and a 7? And 2 of them were like side by side? All right, we'll see whatever. I'm gonna try to cut directly to, who had the 5 of spades?
I did.
Right there. That's 1. All right, let me see if I can get this again. This is a little bit tough, I'm feeling like, who had the 7 of hearts? Right there. That's 2. What was the last one, Carolina?
6 of spades.
6 of spades. All right, hold on. You said yours was the what? The 6 of spades?
6 of this, yeah.
6 of spades. I like the fact that you made sure it looked like it's that shape,
like,
you idiots. I'll tell you what, here's what's great, is I'm not even gonna cut to the card. You're gonna cut to the card. Here's what I want you to do. I want you to take however many cards you want and cut it straight down, wherever you think your card is.
Feel
Right,
it,
there you go,
feel
sit
it.
down. Did it feel good to you?
Use your women's
Did you
intuition.
feel, see, woman's intuition? Did you feel like you were drawn to it, or you just kind of like, whatever, this guy's a jackass?
Half 50-50.
Yeah, no, all right, that's cool.
I BS'd it 50-50.
Turn over the card.
This first one?
Yep. Boom! Huzzah!
Wow.
Did you guys like that?
Yeah.
Do you want to learn that?
Yeah.
Well, then let's toast our sponsors.
Cheers.
Woo!
Who's our sponsor?
I don't know about you, but I'm lazy. Also impulsive, also cheap. But that's okay, because do you know who loves lazy, impulsive, cheap people? Our friends over at GoDaddy. Lazy because you don't want to have to worry about it. You want 99.9% uptime, 24/7 support. Impulsive because you want to be able to decide to buy a domain right this minute and use your iOS and Android app to buy it right there through GoDaddy. And cheap because thanks to the code SCAM10, you're going to get domains for only $7.99. Are you kidding me? Best of all, you'll be kicking a beer over to Scam School as well. Go see our friends over at GoDaddy right now. And apologize for being so lazy. Not impulsive though. It's good to be impulsive. So first of all, ladies, this is my friend Ryan. He's a magician just like me. And before we got started here, we were talking about the first deck of cards. The first trick deck of cards that every young person who gets started in Magic ends up buying is something called a stripper deck. Have you guys heard of a stripper deck? It sounds like something sexual, and I promise it's not. It's a deck of cards that has been beveled in such a way that the sides, it looks like all 4 sides of this are even, right?
Yeah.
But in fact, if you look super closely, you can see that this corner right here is ever so slightly beveled in. And it would pass on your inspection when you first see it. But what it allows you to do is if you take one card, we're gonna turn it around backwards. And do me a favor, Christina, you don't really see anything in there, but you might see just a little bit of a protrusion there, right? I want you to take the cards, hold them in your left hand, and I want you to run your right hand out and see if you're able to pull it out. So I'm gonna set it right back in there. This is the queen of clubs. And so you just run your fingers across. You feel it? There we go, and you get the Queen
Instant
of Clubs.
magician, look at that.
Ta-da! So here's what you would use this for. Now in this case, we kind of came up with a more advanced routine, and I'll explain all of it. But to start things off, traditionally, the simplest version of this trick would be, here, pick a card. And once you take it, you look at it, and while you're looking at the card, I take all of these cards and turn them around. And so now you put the card back in, and because you've reversed it, you'll have that, again, that little protrusion that allows somebody to slip out the card from the deck, right? That was your card? So there's all kinds of simple tricks that you would do with it. So most people, when they get started in Magic, they spend way too much money on getting a pre-made stripper deck where they're die cut with the bevels already in there. The problem is, on a lot of them, I think the bevels look a little bit too obvious, and more importantly, you have to spend money. But if you have a couple of decks, and in this case, I did a gig with Target Mobile a while ago. They gave me a whole bunch of these free decks of cards. So to make my own stripper deck, I started by taking 2 different decks, and I sandwiched one in between parts of the other, so it was double thick. I made sure the whole thing was totally flat. I wrapped about 8 rubber bands around it so it became like a brick. I put it into a vise, and then I started using sandpaper to sand down the one side to get a bevel. And you were able to get a bevel all the way from the base of one side down to the other. And now the only thing is you end up with a tight corner on the one end, which I rounded out with more sandpaper on there. If you do it right, when you pull the whole thing apart, you should have a very smooth, very subtle bevel that would pass inspection with most people, unless they knew what they were looking for. And to be honest, very few people know to even think to look for a stripper deck. In fact, if you want to fool a magician, use a stripper deck, because it's something that he thinks is too obvious and he would be able to spot. Any questions about making the deck?
How long did it take you to sand it down?
I want to say I used a sander at first, but I noticed that it made this big grinding stuff that made it pretty obvious that the deck had been messed with. So what I did a second time was do it by hand, and it was less than 15 minutes. It's just a matter of, you want to keep a tight eye and make sure that everything looks smooth to you. It's really not very complicated once you think through the principles. But once you've made it, the great part is there are tons of tricks you can do with the stripper deck. In fact, people have written entire books, 101 tricks you can do with the stripper deck. So this is sort of like a key to unlock a whole world of different kinds of tricks for you to do. The trick at its heart is super simple. I'm gonna have one of you guys do the easiest trick in the world, which is have a card selected, you turn around the stripper deck, you put it back in the stripper deck, and then just shuffle up the cards until you're certain that you couldn't know where the card is. And then just put your hands under the table, ask what was their card, and then all you have to do is pull out whatever their card is.
Can you ask them to blow on the deck?
Yeah, oh, yes, yes. See, that's personality.
Yeah.
That's Hollywood magic right there. All right, so I think Carolina just volunteered. Yeah.
You guys ready?
Okay, yes.
All right.
I'll take a card. Can I show it to my friend Ryan?
Please do.
All right.
Please share it.
There it is.
Good card.
There it is. Don't look, Carolina. I know what you're up to. That's the card. All right.
All right.
All right. What you want me to put it back in the deck?
Yeah, go ahead and
All right.
click the
I'll
play.
bet you'll stick your pinky in there or something and know where the card is. Let me see. Are they all
Go
squared
ahead
up?
and blow on it.
You're just mixing them up even more. Those are very mixed up
Must
cards.
be good.
This is very talented sleight of hand.
Yeah.
She is
I didn't
a
even
wizard.
see the move.
All right, yes, I'm ready. What is she doing? Is she making a prediction? Wait, it appears she has made a prediction.
Okay. I think I have one picked. What was your card?
Our card was
8 of clubs.
8 of clubs.
Boom.
She is a wizard! Major toasties, very well done.
Carolina. Good.
Now be honest, Ryan, you've got serious chops as a close-up sleight of hand artist. Is there some part of you that feels dirty even touching a stripper deck because it's such a basic, fundamental?
Yeah, it brings you back like a couple years, definitely, to get to that point.
Okay, and granted, it's so weird because when you get started in Magic, you start off with gimmicks,
Yeah.
and then you decide to be a purist and you're like, I'm gonna learn the real sleight of hand. And then at some point you're like, you know what? I think the tricks actually work better.
Well, yeah, because you can
gimmick.
eliminate so much of the sleight of hand. The gimmicky finger breaks. I mean, this is what it would look like, but magicians don't use it because it's seen as childish,
easy.
and yeah, it's like, oh, nobody does it.
Right. But what's great about it is that it's one of the few ways that you can totally do jazz with magic, because you don't need to have any sleight of hand. You don't need to be pre-prepared for anything. You can just come up with stuff on the fly. And in fact, that presentation, the whole cutting to the 3 cards, not a lie, and I'm sure many people are like, well, obviously it was something that we came up with like 5 minutes before we shot it. And in fact, it actually went wrong.
Yeah.
And it was a case.
But it was great because then you got to still build even better, and even made it almost a better trick doing that. Yeah,
well, so what happened is that's one of the downfalls of a stripper deck is, of course, you have someone pick the card and you turn it around and you put it back in, right? And then you're set. But you could do the bad thing that happens is you have them pick a card, I turn around the deck, and then you also turn around the deck, and then you put it back in. Now all of a sudden that one's truly lost. And that's what happened on the third of the 3 cards.
And if you're doing it with just one person, you can kind of keep track of it. But if it's 3 people, you don't know, because if one turns it around, you have no control over that.
And that's the important thing, is that nobody knows what the intended outcome of the trick is until it's actually over. So in this case, what happened was I could feel that 2 of the cards were there, and using the stripping, I was able to just pick up and break exactly at 2 of the cards, and it was obvious that there were no more reversed cards. So for the 3rd bit, kind of on the fly, just say, what was your card? And I found it again, and then I just set it on top, and I say, well, I'm gonna have you cut to the card, and I use something that we had demonstrated all the way back in like episode 50 or so, the crisscross force, where you just have them cut the cards, you mark it, you take just a moment to ask. All you gotta ask is, you remember the suit, you remember the value, go ahead, take a look at your card.
And and it's diabolical.
Exactly.
My question is, did you ask what the cards were after or before? Like, did you plan on doing that, or would you sense the 2 and they're like, I need to know this 3rd card?
This is what's great. You are a professional magician who knows what the structure is for everything, but memory is so lousy, it's hard to remember what happened in each order. And at the very beginning, I asked, before I even started, I said, what was your card, what was your card, what was your card? Because I didn't know which of the 3 cards I was gonna pick up, and I wanted to be able to look and then give it to each person one at a time. So let's talk about stuff you could do with the stripper deck.
So you would have any card selected, take that,
got it.
Reverse, put that straight in there, in the middle of it. And then you can just get that to kind of rise up.
And what are you doing? Is that just your pinky?
Yeah, it's just your
up?
pinky going up across the edge of it. And if you move your hand past enough,
you're thinking, that's still too much skill for someone like me. If it's someone like me, because I'm lazy and soft and doughy and untalented, like I'm gonna have that same card. Here, here, let me do it for you.
Okay,
Here, you go ahead and take that. There we go, and then put it back in, right? And then you pull it. Now, this is what I love about time delay. You pull their card, right, on top, but then you don't just reveal it on top. Instead, you could do this thing where you take your finger and then you, with your pinky, just go boop, and then you raise it up like that. A little something.
Yeah, no, it works. I mean, I used to do that all the time. Used to. Yeah.
Now,
no, I'm gonna do that tomorrow at my show tomorrow.
All right, there we go. Look, thank you so much, Ryan. That was awesome. Now, some people might be tempted to discount the stripper deck because it's so simple, but trust me, that simplicity is where the beauty exists. Because it's so simple, you're gonna be able to do jazz with this thing. It's like a musical instrument that gives you pretend talent. And if Scam School is about anything, it's about faking talent that you don't actually have. Listen, why don't we start up a dialogue? Hit me up over at Twitter at twitter.com/Schwood. And of course, you can follow the show at twitter.com/scamschool. If you want to suggest your favorite bar scam, hit me up directly at brian@revision3.com. And don't forget that you can actually pick up stripper decks over at scamstuff.com, where we got a whole bunch of other awesome stuff, or if you're lazy like me, pre-prepared stripper decks to make you look like a badass. Next week, we have a math professor who's gonna explain to us what advanced chess theorems are buried deep inside of Garfield comic books. But until then, I'm gonna go to the bar.